My name is Jeff Bartko, and I started importing the gypsy horse in numbers in 2001, and have the distinction of providing more gypsy horses to the American breeder than just about anybody in the country. You will find horses that I imported in just about every farm that you visit in North America. Well, before becoming involved with the gypsy horses, my wife and I raised and bred the Shire horses. We had a good number of them on our farm, and I spent some time at school and learned equine reproduction, artificial insemination, stallion collection, semen processing, everything that had to be done to breed the animals, and then went to horseshoeing school and learned how to do that. Prior to then, I used to be a jousting knight. I used to perform full contact jousting exhibitions on horseback and traveled around the country getting knocked off a horse for people's enjoyment. I discovered the gypsy horse with my wife Christine when we were traveling in England looking at Shire horses. And we spent a lot of time traveling around the countryside, going to various farms, looking at Shire horses, and we discovered the gypsy horse at that time, from afar, from a distance. And what we saw were these colored horses that, from the distance, looked like colored Shires. They had the shape and the body style of the Shire horse. The funny thing about that, though, is that at the time, the only people we knew were, in England, were Shire horse people. And when we asked about those colored horses, we always got the same response. It's like, oh, those are just gypsies' horses. Well, gypsies are not. They're really pretty cool. So we did a little bit more investigation and showed up at Appleby Fair in right around the year 2000 and met our first gypsy horses at the fair. Oh, everybody's got a different description of the fair. I guess it depends on what why a person goes to Appleby Fair. Determines how they see the fair. And for myself, I didn't look so much forward to going, being at the fair as I did actually getting there. For me, that was half the fun, driving the horses or going with a group of friends, traveling on the road, going to the fair. But how do we put it? The Appleby Fair is a gathering of many people from the gypsy or traveling community, from England, Ireland, and other parts. Hundreds and hundreds of horses, thousands and thousands of people, and really, I think John Hawkinsmith summed it up best when he referred to it as excitement on the edge of mayhem. It's hard to put into words what a person sees or feels when they're, with the horse. And I think it's different for everybody. They want you to be drawn into their world, and it's not something you can really put into words. It's it's just a feeling, a comfortable feeling, a feeling of contentment when you're with them, and they do that thing, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure somebody out there may have a word for it, but we always refer to it as just, the way with her look, she's doing that thing, and and it's not so much, what you or I do, but it's what the horse does. They draw you in. They know what they're doing. I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but it's one that sticks out in my mind, and certainly I will remember for the rest of my life, for more reason than one. And this would have been getting our gypsy horses ready for the Tournament of Roses parade in 2007, I believe. And at that time, I was going to ride a stallion I had named Tyson. We called him Rombaro, and a lot of people would recognize that name. Well, he needed shoes on for the parade, but he was getting kind of colicky, kind of sick off and on, and so we weren't sure if he was going to be up for doing the parade. And we brought an extra horse with us just in case. Well, it's a day or two before the parade, and it looks like he's going to be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and put his shoes on, and I've got a friend helping me, and we're putting his shoes on. Christine is taking the car into town to run some errands, and so we're working on this horse, and yeah, I was a bit out of practice putting these shoes on, and I'm working on his last shoe, and I'm driving nails in that shoe and that hoof, and he squirms or fidgets or something like this, and well, one of those nails sticking out of that hoof went right into my wrist, and it's almost like it was slow motion. I just kind of watched that nail go right into my wrist, and the blood really does squirt out when you hit that artery that you're not supposed to hit. And I pulled the nail and the foot out of my arm. There's this blood squirting out of it, and the first thing I'm thinking is, this can't be good. And so I'm standing here holding my arm. Got a half-shod horse here in front of me. Parade's in day or two. I really suppose I ought to see a doctor about this thing, but well, there's no time for that. So vet wrap to the rescue. Put this pressure bandage on my arm, and I wrapped it up, and we got back down to business and finished shoeing that horse. And as it turns out, my arm, my wrist healed up just fine on its own without ever having to see a doctor. I do have a scar on there from that puncture wound, and I had somebody tell me that I really ought to have like a Tudor rose tattooed right around that scar, so that I always remember that as my Rose Parade wound. Well, I haven't gotten a tattoo, but I don't need that to remember the fun and excitement of getting prepared for the Rose Parade.